After 14 years of raising them like my own, my stepson and stepdaughter grabbed the mic at graduation and said, "We want to thank our real mom, not the losers who just paid the bills." I smiled. Not because it didn't hurt. Not because I didn't want to cry. But because I had long stopped hoping they'd see me as anything more than a placeholder. What they didn't know, what no one in that auditorium knew, was that I had already decided to leave. It started 14 years ago, when I met Alan. Widowed, father of 2, and carrying the kind of quiet sorrow that made women lean in. I was 35, independent, successful in my own quiet way. And I thought I was ready to build a life with someone who had already lost everything once. The kids, Nate and Emma, were 6 and 9 when I moved in. Skittish. Suspicious. But kids still. I tucked them in, kissed their foreheads, braided Emma's hair, and attended every school meeting with a smile and a notebook. I didn't expect immediate love. I earned their trust the long way, through late-night stomach flus and birthday cakes with lopsided icing. I mothered them. Loved them. Alan loved how I loved them. At first. But somewhere between the science fair and Emma's first heartbreak, things shifted. Alan grew distant. Unreachable. The man who once wrote me handwritten notes and brought me coffee in bed, now left his phone face down, always on silent. He said it was work. Always work. And I wanted to believe him. Until I couldn't. It was Emma who slipped first. A hissed phone call behind a half-closed door. "Yeah, she's out. Come now. Dad's waiting." I wasn't supposed to hear it, but I did. I followed my instincts straight to betrayal. Alan wasn't working late. He wasn't at the office. He was with her, Natalie. His ex-wife. The woman who had abandoned him and the children a decade earlier for a fresh start, across the country with a yoga instructor and no visitation schedule. And now she was back. Slimmer, louder, flashing her white teeth and redemption arc like a badge of honor. She took them to music festivals. Let Emma wear eyeliner and called herself the cool mom. Nate called her Nat, not mom. Not yet. But close enough. I confronted Alan one night while the kids were at a sleepover. He didn't deny it. Said it had just happened. That he never stopped loving her. That maybe she had changed. "People don't change," I whispered, not sure if I meant her or him. But I stayed. For the kids. For the sake of a life I had sewn together stitch by stitch. In the weeks leading up to graduation, the air between us grew thicker. The kids were polite but distant, like employees waiting out a notice period. Alan started sleeping on the couch, by choice, not punishment. I stopped asking questions. I had already hired a lawyer. Then graduation came. Family packed into the auditorium. I wore a pressed dress and a necklace the kids had made for me years ago. I brought flowers. I clapped and cheered. And then they grabbed the mic. "We want to thank our real mom," Emma beamed. "Not the losers who just paid the bills." The auditorium gasped, some in laughter, others in disbelief. Alan looked at the floor. Natalie dabbed her eyes like she'd just won a custody battle no one had fought. And I smiled. Because the truth was, the moment they said it, I felt the rope snap. 14 years of sacrifice, of invisible mothering, released from my chest like steam from a pressure valve. I felt free. That night I packed my things. No screaming. No revenge. Just a note on the kitchen counter. I gave everything I had. When you're ready to understand what that means, you'll know where to find me. I moved across town. Bought a quiet condo overlooking a lake. I planted lavender and rosemary on the balcony. Started painting again. Took weekend trips alone. Sometimes I got texts from Emma, late at night. "Sorry about that day. I didn't mean it like that. Hope you're okay." I never responded. Not yet. Months passed. Then on a quiet September morning, I got a knock at my door. Nate. Taller now. Paler. No bravado. "I didn't know," he said. "I thought she was back for us. But she left again. 3 weeks after graduation." I let him inside. We sat on the couch. He told me everything. How Natalie had used graduation as a publicity stunt. Photos and reels and a new podcast about reclaiming motherhood. How she was gone again with a new boyfriend, in a new city, with no explanation. How Alan barely spoke anymore, lost in guilt or drink or both. "I'm sorry," Nate said again. I know what you did. I remember it now. All of it. I held his hand just briefly, and when he left, I didn't cry, because I knew something he didn't. Children eventually learn to see clearly, but only when the noise fades, and the real voices, the quiet, patient ones, remain. It took heartbreak to unburden myself from a life where love had conditions. I didn't want them to hurt, but I also didn't want to be invisible. Sometimes the only way to be seen is to leave, and sometimes the greatest act of love is letting go.